On June 17, a goods train collided with the Sealdah-bound Kanchanjunga Express, killing 10 and injuring several others. The collision has set off alarm bells, with experts pointing to the sluggish pace with which KAVACH is being implemented. KAVACH is India's indigenously developed automated train control system which rules out the possibility of train collisions. In 5 years since its inception in 2019, KAVACH has been deployed only across 1,465 route kilometers and in 139 engines. At this rate, it will take anywhere between 50 to 100 years to deploy KAVACH across the Indian railway network. This prompts several questions. At what rate should KAVACH be implemented in order to avoid train collisions across India? Importantly, what's causing the delay? Welcome to another episode of The Data Point. In this video, we'll flag some concerns regarding the pace of implementation of KAVACH and understand if the issue lies with funding or if the government lacks focus. Before that, let's understand how the KAVACH system functions. KAVACH is an automated traffic collision avoidance system for trains. Train collisions usually happen when trains pass the stop signal without authorization. Stop signals control train movements and ensures that the tracks ahead are clear. Missing that signal will lead to derailments and collisions. There are many reasons why a loco pilot may miss the stop signal. First, the loco pilot's visibility reduces sharply when the speed of the train increases. The loco pilot is provided with very little assistance about the signal ahead. KAVACH is developed to address these problems. With pre-programmed radio frequency identification tags across its track and the KAVACH unit in its engine, the system determines the location of the train, the direction of the train, train length, and also the distance a train can move without colliding into another. With the help of the equipment on board the engines, the transmission towers at stations, and the RFID tags, the system ensures a two-way communication between the station master and the loco pilot. The system also helps the loco pilot know about the signal ahead much in advance without visual sighting. This also helps the loco pilot maintain the permissible speed in order to avoid collisions. Another reason for collisions can be the unusual stoppages in the blot section. A blot section refers to the track between two signals that should be occupied by only one train at a time in order to ensure safety. Passenger emergencies or mechanical failures may force a train to halt until the issue is resolved. KAVACH prevents the loco pilots from passing the stop signal and also warns the possibility of a collision if there are any unusual stoppages in the blot section. If the loco pilot fails to apply the brake or if the train exceeds the permissible speed by 5 km per hour, KAVACH automatically takes over and applies the brake. KAVACH has been certified with Safety Integrity Level 4, which means the probability of error is 1 in 10,000 years. Let's now discuss the cost of implementation. KAVACH is the cheapest state-of-the-art electronic system to be certified SIL 4. It costs around 50 lakhs to deploy KAVACH across one route kilometer and rupees 70 lakhs to deploy KAVACH in one engine. India has a total route track length of 68,000 km and 15,200 engines. In order to fit KAVACH across all route kilometers and engines, it would cost around 45,000 crores, 34,000 crores for the route kilometers and around 10,640 crores to deploy KAVACH across the engines. Assuming that this can be done over 10 years, this would incur a cost of rupees 4,500 crore every year. The budgeted capital expenditure of the Ministry of Railways in FY25 was 2,52,000 crore. Even if we were to assume that the capital expenditure of FY26 remains the same as this financial year, it would take only 1.7% of it to implement KAVACH in the first year. The successive years will also require the same percentage of investment, even if we assume that the capital expenditure remains the same as this financial year. So, it is not the money. Surely, 1.7% of the capital expenditure is a reasonable share to avoid train collisions. Which brings us to the major impediment of the deployment of KAVACH: lack of focus. How slow paced is the implementation rate of KAVACH? Since FY19, the country has deployed KAVACH only across 1,465 route kilometers, 2.2% of its total route, and in 139 engines, 0.9% of the total engines. While this was the total implementation in the past 5 years, it is important to assume the impact of pandemic. Even if we are to assume that the government did all these in 1 year instead of 5 years, it would take at least another 46 years to deploy coverage across all its route kilometers and at least 100 years to implement coverage in all its engines. If the project has to be completed in 10 years, the government should increase its pace to deploy coverage across 6,800 route kilometers per year instead of 1,465, and also in 1,516 engines per year instead of 139. Thank you for watching the video, and for more videos, subscribe to The Hindu.